Hello everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode in our Masterclass series. Annie of Old Town has a thirst for knowledge, and a brain that thankfully can keep up. While she could not become a maester, as she wasn't a man, that didn't stop her from learning as much as she could. Annie is a very strong support hero, focused on making everybody's abilities just that much better, and their survivability, with some very good defense increases. Overall, though, the opportunity cost is too high as she doesn't fit into any of the well-known and powerful formations, meaning she only gets 2 points in the Weirwood. She's a little bit better in the training grounds with a defense buff and skill buff, as well as a might regen that means everybody gets their skills off quickly. Unfortunately, she's let down by her weak base stats and no damage. Because she takes up a back row slot, she does need to be worked in carefully, meaning she gets 3 points in the training grounds. Next up, we have Rebel Leaders, and individually as a buffer, she actually does better than Jeannie in some circumstances, and because she's a spear hero, she's much better for attacking cavalry or spear formations, not suffering the same disadvantages that cavalry buffers or Tyrion as an infantry buffer would. Once you unlock her, you are going to want to run her in an awful lot of formations, giving her 4 points for Rebel Leaders.
Unfortunately, Annie has a very low base attack, and she can buff her own attack, but only so much. So her total damage output from herself would only be worth 1 point. Since all 4 of her skills are aimed towards supporting the allies, we'll give her 5 points for support. While being so busy with her allies, she totally forgets about all the enemies around her, giving her 0 points in crowd control. Her skills are really interesting and actually buff a decent amount, but for example, the defense she boosts will only apply to the front row, and the attack she boosts will only be really useful in the Rebel Leaders. For that reason, we give her only 3 points in skills.
When it comes to advancements, despite her clerical nature, she is a fighting commander, with a total attack and total defense buff of 15% respectively, and the 30% spearman health. She's extremely useful for spearman formations, but don't count her out in other combats, giving her 4 points here. That doesn't translate to a very good city advancement, as she has no points in this category. As for friendship, she requires books and an overall quality of 10. With 3 combat rate, 4 finance, and 3 aptitude, she's solidly above average, giving her 3 points here. Overall, Annie has 25 points, exact middle of our scoring system. She's definitely a commander you want to pick up in the new Summer Blossom event, as many compositions will be boosted just by having her. Now, Uma has a very particular set of skills, and she will find you and she will kill you. Her abilities mean that she's very well suited to be a damage-dealing tank, and at gold, she'll nearly be without reproach. Because of this, we give her 4 points in the Weirwood. The same can be said in the training grounds, becoming one of the best tanks out there. With a vampirism effect to heal herself, another self-heal on top of that, an increase of defense, and area effect damage abilities that don't need targeting, she also gets 4 points in the training grounds. However, she does have a very low base attack and suffers when it comes to Rebel Leaders, because her abilities are a lot better when there are more enemies facing her. Because of that, she only gets 1 point as Rebel Leaders.
Uma's active skill is very interesting and very effective, not only reducing the enemy's defense, but also doing a great chunk of damage. For that we will give at least 1 point, but also her Insect Queen Intimidation, she blasts a ton of damage to every enemy, which doesn't have to be targeted, so for that we want to give her 2 extra points, making a total of 3 points in damage output. She does not support anyone but herself, so she gets no points there. However, due to the fact that she can reduce the defense of the enemy in front of her, she gets 1 point in crowd control. Her skill set makes her a very versatile tank in both the Weirwood and training ground, and a very self-sustaining tank as well. We give her skills 4 points for this.
All Uma's specializations are in combat advancement. While Spearman attack is very nice, it's a base 30, the other skills have limited use. A reduction in 10% defense is minimal at best, and her other skill only reduces cavalry health up to a maximum of 15. While it could make a difference for the highest players, for most of us we won't notice such a minor difference, meaning she only gets 3 points in combat advancement. 3 skills for combat means no for city, earning her 0 points here. When it comes to friendship, Uma is a very nice commander to have. With 4 aptitude and 3 combat rate, she's one that you will look to upgrade. However, her reliance on desserts, probably the most sought after item, means we can only give her 2 points. Overall, Uma has 22 points. Probably one of the most interesting free-to-play commanders we've had recently, and I look forward to when I get her at gold. Our next commander, Hayley, has some limited use in the Weirwood. While there are much stronger tanks out there, she can be useful in certain situations. She has a damage reduction and control resilience, which is automatic at the start of the bubble, allowing her to shrug off an awful lot of damage, and if her skills line up with the Blood Axe, she can reflect damage to the back line, being one of the only tanks that can do that, so we give her 2 points. Most of her abilities transfer over to the training grounds. They don't get any stronger or any bonuses, so we get 2 points there as well. Trying to use her for rebel leaders, however, isn't that useful. If you need a tank, she can be used, and there are certain situations where she's useful, but we only give her 1 point here. And even with her ability that adds damage, her base attack is rather low, so she only gets 1 point in damage output. Unfortunately, her weak skills in support and crowd control give her 0 in each of those categories.
She does have a very unique set of skills with damage reflection, but at a very low chance. Her overall set are very useful if you have a short fight, and that gives her skills about 2 points. When it comes to combat advancement, she gives infantry attack. When it comes to attack, she gets 2 points. With wall defense and a 600 increase in motivation limit, she does bring some decent advancement, but not really impressive. That will score her just another 2 points. Hayley brings pretty much the same as Russell. She has an overall quality of 5, brings 3 command and 2 combat rate, and also requires meat. That gives her 2 points in friendship.
While Hayley can be a commander you want in certain situations, unfortunately she suffers from not excelling in any category, meaning she has a weak 14 points.
Then we have the famous Jon Snow the Bastard. And his skills are rather disappointing, because his synergy is relatively bad with other commanders. For the Weirwood, I would like to give him 2 points. However, in the training grounds, he can actually be really useful because of his incredibly high command. He is one of the most tanky commanders out there. For that reason, we give him 4 points. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for rebel leaders because you want damage. And damage is something he has, but not really enough. Especially because infantry commanders, you have so much great commanders like Beret and Arya who do so much more damage. For that reason, we give him 1 point. Because of his high prowess and his Shield of the Kingdom, which can boost his damage for pretty much half of the time with a small boost, we give him 2 points in damage output.
Unfortunately, when it comes to support and crowd control, the bastard of Winterfell, Jon Snow, knows nothing. He gets 0 points in each category. Now, Jon Snow's skills, while they sound interesting, especially with the Watchers on the Wall, where he has a chance to come back to life, they're very limited, not great overall. There are better attacks, better healths, better boosts, better buffs. So he only gets an average score overall, 2 points in skills. Now, Jon Snow is another level 5 combat hero with 25% attack, defense, and health, giving him full marks in this category. Seeing as he's one of the best combat heroes, it's not surprising that he has absolutely no city advancement, so 0 points there.
Who wouldn't have a friend like Jon Snow? He will definitely boost your stats to the high heavens in his friendship, if you give him a decent amount of weapons at least. With 5 combat rate, 5 leadership and 5 command, we'll give him 5 points. For the price you have to pay to get him, 21 points is not much, but to say it in the wise words of English, his skills are shite. Also known as the Rose of Highgarden, next up we have Margaery Tyrell. Now Margaery comes with quite a price tag, but having her even at grey is almost worth the money. Her skills in the Weirwood are unmatched. She brings a massive damage reduction at the start, which enables a lot of champions that usually would die before they could actually use their skills. For this reason we give her 5 points in the Weirwood. And just like Simon, this commander actually brings a massive boost in the training grounds as well. You can go through the first 30 players in the rankings and you will find nobody who doesn't use Margaery, because having all the damage reduction at the start of the battle, plus shielding everyone and recovering might, are aspects that are really necessary in the training grounds. For that reason, we also give 5 points in the training grounds. Since she has no damage and you're only fighting one opponent, there are much better ways to utilize commanders than using a Margaery against rebel leaders. She would be sufficient to shield pretty much everyone, or even frontline herself. For that reason, we give her only 2 points against rebel leaders.
Margaery, however, has the worst damage in the game. All her skills are geared towards buffing her allies, which allow them to do a crap ton more damage, but she herself is about as useless as a chocolate teapot, giving her 0 points in damage output. However, when it comes to support heroes, she is without compare. She is the quintessential support hero, which buffs every aspect of other players, meaning she gets 5 points here. Her amazing support abilities, however, come with a cost, not allowing any room for crowd control, so she gets 0 points. And finally, her skills have amazing synergy and use. However, her last ability, which just increases her strategy, is a little bit limited, and her skills are only good for one thing. As amazing as they are, they only warrant 4 points.
Margaery Tyrell brings total health and total attack by 15%, and those are the skills you want. However, they are a bit limited to only 15%, and health will probably only work for your frontline, so we'll give her 3 points in combat advancement. With a research speed of 25% at max level, she doesn't match the incredible wisdom of Tyrion Lannister, but she does bring enough research speed to give her 2 points in city advancement. Margaery brings an overall quality of 11, and that's a lot. And she also uses jewelry, and that also means a lot, because jewelry is something you pretty much don't know who to spend it on. Melisandre is the best choice, but at one point you have her so high that you kindly want to just start on Jeanne, because needing 20 pieces of jewelry against 1 to level someone up makes the 1 a bit more attractive than the 20. So for that reason, having someone with 11 points is great. However, 4 aptitude, 5 finance and 2 command are just the skills you don't really want. So it's a bit average. Let's give her 3 points for that. Another great support, and also a great total of 29. Absolutely befitting her incredible skill set.
This time we're looking at Laena Waters, a cavalry commander with the opposite problem of a couple of others we've covered in the show. With her skills being fairly substandard, a low base attack, a low defense, a very high strategy that can't really be buffed, and skills that work 30% of the time twice, we can only give her a 1 point in the Weirwood. She doesn't fare much better in the training grounds, so 1 point there. And she also doesn't have the damage to make her a viable rebel leader candidate. She doesn't buff anyone else either, so gets a 1 point. And her damage output is also stuck to 1, which isn't looking great so far. But she brings it back in support, where she gets 0 points.
Technically, she does bring some crowd control by reducing the target's attack, so she gets 1 point there. Her skills are very substandard. They are only aimed to make her a viable tank, leaving all other potential at almost 0. Therefore, her skills only get 1 star. So, Laena gives a perfect cavalry health, attack and defense. Well, it's not that often that you run cavalry front, and it's not as high as it would have when you have total attacks, or even like Hector, who just boosts the specific targeted stats of the troops. So for that reason we give her 4 in combat advancement. Of course, also her awakening makes that even better. However, we're not going to cover awakening in this episode. We're going to cover that later when every commander has awakening unlocked. She gets nothing in city advancement, and also her friendship is not optimal. She does use jewelry, but her overall quality is only 7, 3 in finance, 4 in leadership, and for that extra leadership you'll get 2 points. She gets 2 points in friendship.
Overall, Laena only gets 12 points. It's a very low score. However, it should be pointed out she's one of the best commanders to get if you want to run a cavalry formation. one that buffs every single aspect of them, making them that much stronger. Unfortunately, as a one-trick pony, 12 is all we can give her.
Next up is Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion is a very interesting commander, and his skills are also very interesting. However, it feels like he's not reaching his full potential. His skills are meant to buff, but in the Weirwood you will hardly notice his presence. For that reason we give him 2 points. Also in the training grounds he comes a little bit short. He does deal some extra damage, but not that much, and the strategy is not something you look for in a training ground. You look for pure damage and tanks that can sustain themselves. For that reason we give him 2 points in the training grounds. While often overlooked against rebel leaders and replaced by Jaina, he can be used very well against spearmen, as he can hold his own.
Unfortunately, he's dwarfed by most other commanders when it comes to attack power, giving only 1 point in damage output. He is, however, quite good in support. He has 3 different skills, however each one is a minute addition. Giving him 3 points in total, it's just a shame he can't be a bit bigger. He has no crowd control, creating a minuscule 0 points. And while he does have 3 very nice skills, the buffs themselves are just a little bit small. They don't measure up or bring the same large bonus you'd expect from a slot, and therefore can't fill the boots of a damage dealer, which you sacrifice to put him in the lineup. So therefore he gets 2 points.
What Tyrion misses in size, he actually brings to advancement. His total defense and total attack will absolutely give you a massive boost when sending him to battle, giving him 3 points. His research speed can go up to 40%, and that makes him the only commander that can actually have more than 5 points in both advancements together, giving him another 3 points. The amount of wine you can stuff in his little body is incredible. His overall quality is 12, 5 aptitude, 5 finance and 2 combat rate. That will leave him with 3 points in friendship.
Overall, this lovely little chap is pulling in an amazing 22 points. And thank you all for watching. On your screen you should have links to the corresponding director's cut for the video if you're interested in learning more, and also the next episode once it becomes available. Please remember to like and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow and basically motivates us to make more. So thank you for watching again.